Welcome back, guys. I always feel more comfortable with my feet up. Who doesn't, though, right? I wanted to do a quick video. I tried recording this earlier, but oh man, did I rant. So I'm going to try to, with refined thought, go over, do you really need an expensive microphone in 2025? We'll talk about if you really need one, but then we'll also talk about how much money you should spend on a microphone. Let's start by saying I have a video and I'm gonna link it below. And in that video, it was 2023 and I showed myself singing on the Behringer B-1. It's a really great microphone. It was only $100 and it impressed me because the results were usable. So in the video, the conclusion was that you can indeed start with a microphone that cost very little and that you didn't need an expensive microphone to record yourself and make music and have fun and do what you love. That being said, I've got some flight cases next to me. I've got a U87, a TLM 103, a Behringer B-1, and a custom-built 414 style microphone that I soldered together. I want to talk a little bit about how much money you should spend and kind of show you what the quality difference looks like between the microphones when you do spend a little higher. And then I'll briefly talk about whether the difference between something really expensive and really cost effective or affordable matters. You know, is it a difference that you should consider? So let's start by talking about the Behringer B-1. The Behringer B-1 to me, and I'll admit I haven't recorded on it since that video, but the Behringer B-1 to me is a cost-effective workhorse. It's a muddy microphone in the low end. It's very sibilant on the top end. It does sound like the sound design is darker than something like a TLM 103, which may on the surface impress some people, but I think it is a part of the sound design, and somehow, some way, the sibilance of that microphone, despite it being darker, is still just as unmanageable as any other cheap microphone. The Behringer B-1 is durable feeling, it's heavy, and it's just overall a decent microphone if you're just getting started. I'll take these all out of the case in a moment when we talk about quality. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. So the second mic is the mic parts. I believe it is called the T12. I'll correct myself with a caption somewhere around here, I guess, if I fucked that one up. But the microphone parts is something that is sibilant on my voice, or at least the T12 is. It is using if I'm not mistaken, they call it the RK12 capsule, which again, it's the C12 flavored capsule, right? And there is a high lift on some of those microphones, so it makes sense that it would be a little sibilant. You know, I'm just a sibilant guy, I guess, but yeah, I never leapt into the 414 world. Like, I used it in studios, but I never bought one and used it on my own voice, for example. So building one was a good opportunity for me to kind of see how it works on the inside and then have my own copy for an affordable price. If I didn't mention, the B-1, by the way, goes for about $100. I'll put a caption about that. But the microphone parts that I built, it was about $420, I believe, and I would say it sounds something more like a $800, $900 microphone. So really good if you're looking to invest in something that sounds great, but you don't quite have the money for, you know, those higher end mics. You just gotta have a little patience and some soldering skills. Overall, the durability of that thing, by the way, I have to bring it up, feels cheap. The insides look great, but the body is quite thin. It feels like if I dropped it, it would just dent like a windscreen or like a head basket on a microphone. But beggars can't be choosers, right? If you're going to spend $400 and expect the Rolls Royce, then it's just not the case. Let's move on to the third mic we're going to talk about, the TLM 103. I believe it's in this case here. TLM 103 goes for about $1,200 right now, and I think the TLM 103 is a great middle ground microphone. It has a nice balanced sound to it. There are, and I'll try not to rant about this because I did last time, there are complaints that the top end is too sizzly, too sibilant. You know, I get where they're coming from because I'll use a de-esser for sure with my voice when I'm using the TLM 103. However, I do argue that if you can't get a good recording out of a TLM 103, you need to start considering if you know how to do your job. I have to throw that out there, and I'll try not to go too deep into this because you will hear so many arguments online about how the TLM 103 is just not a great microphone. And just to kind of back that up, Neumann is known to be on top of the microphone world, the microphone industry, okay? If you go to any studio, you'll see Neumann microphones in there, Neumann U87s, Neumann U67s, you know, these are like $8,000 microphones. But what I want to point out is that Neumann, who I would suggest is number one, not only because of historical reasons, but because of their quality, Neumann made the TLM 103. And the TLM 103 is their top selling microphone. So if you're going to tell me that the TLM 103 is bad, I would just point to the stats, point to the numbers. Moving on from that, the TLM 103, very usable. Billie Eilish is a good example. Usually people will bring that up because it's one of the most known examples, but she's won Grammys using the microphone, right? The TLM 103 build quality is great. It's strong. It feels like something that is of quality. I feel like I'm holding a little diamond. It's definitely one of those microphones you don't want to throw around. So if you're planning to abuse a mic, maybe grab the Behringer B-1. But overall, I would say the TLM 103 is a great investment, not only because it sounds great, because it looks great, because it's with a reputable company, but also because it's an investment, period. It's something that you could put on the market and resell it, and you'll get a good chunk of your money back. Brings us to our next mic, the U87. The Neumann U87 is arguably the most famous microphone on the market. The Neumann U87, its name is the most popular name in the market. It's just synonymous with good. The U87 is something that you'll see in every recording studio, at least the high-end recording studios. It's crazy to me that there's so many 87 clones on the market. It's crazy to me that there are more clones than I can count. It's crazy to me that there are also counterfeit 87s. I mean, it just goes to show like how good the microphone is and how impressionable it has been to our industry and how sought after the sound characteristics of it are. So I don't think there's much I need to say about whether it sounds good. The 87 is just a fantastic microphone. It's ironically a lot darker sounding than I once considered. But when I put it up against a U67, and again, this is kind of like blew my mind a bit, but the 67 has a brighter top end. It's smoother, but it's brighter. U87 build quality is fantastic. U87 is definitely something that attracts attention. It's something that will bring in clients because of its reputation. It's something that is just professional, right? This reminds me of when I was in the film industry and I did a lot of field recording. I would receive more jobs once I bought the MKH 416 from Sennheiser. So if I was walking around, this is not a bash, but I was walking around with like a Rode microphone, they wouldn't take me as seriously. They wouldn't take me as someone that was dependable. They weren't looking at my microphone kit or my recording kit as something that would deliver the results that they're used to. And so they would hire me more often because of the Sennheiser MKH 416. Little nugget there, but U87 holds the same weight. It kind of does the same thing. You're going to run into people that are just looking for that sound, and if they see that you have the real thing, they know that you're serious. They know that you have a microphone that is going to deliver, and so they're not as worried about coming in and spending money with you. U87s cost about $37.50, I believe, at the moment. So considerable price jump. I mean, it's almost $4,000. I think that is the highest anyone should ever go if they're in a home studio situation. By home studio, I mean you record out of passion and love, and you record your friends and your bands that are local. Like, I don't think you need to surpass that threshold of $3,000-$4,000 ever. I would even dare say that you would be just fine with a TLM 103. So let's sum this up. Let's wrap this up. We'll take out each mic briefly. It's a little moist out here, so we're going to make it very brief. But let's sum this up and see what microphone I would suggest depending on your situation. And you can take a look at the build quality of some of these different variants of mics here. I'm going to put the mic down real quick. All right, so starting with the Behringer B-1. This is the cheapest of the options I've taken out for you guys today. Behringer B-1 looks like this. I used this last in 2023, which is hilarious. Since then, it's been kind of just a paperweight, but it is a fantastic microphone. It's got a high-pass filter, a 10 dB pad. If I were just getting started, if I were in college, if I were in high school, if I were 50 years old and just on a budget, the Behringer B-1, I would definitely run to it. It's $100 and it's just good enough. We'll put it that way. Behringer B-1. Feels heavy, by the way. Durable. It says made in China on the back, which is flattering. Let's take a look at the inside real quick, and we're going to go really quick. You'll notice there's a lot of surface-mounted components going on here. Some SMC. I don't know why it's not grabbing it, but we tried. All right. Honestly, my favorite thing about having this microphone, despite me not using it for the last couple of years, but I'll definitely play with it some more now that it's been in my eyesight for this long. My favorite thing about owning it is that I know I have something that I could beat the shit out of. I fuck around with that mic. If I'm afraid to record with a nice microphone somewhere, I would bring this. Let's go to the second one. This one is microphone parts. I soldered this one together myself. They came with really great instructions, so I didn't have to be a pro, but you definitely had to know how to work a soldering iron, that's for sure. I would say investing in all the stuff you need to solder, like all the tools, could be a little bit of a burden. So if you go this route, maybe consider building more than one mic. Otherwise, you got a lot of crap for no reason. And I did paint this head basket. They don't offer black head baskets. Came out very good. First thing I would say that I didn't like about this mic, just real quick, the body feels very cheap. It feels thin. It feels like aluminum foil. Maybe not aluminum foil, but it just feels like I could dent this thing if I dropped it. You know, I think the head basket would dent just as easily as the body would. Let's take a look at the components. I'm like watching the clock. I'm trying to move quick here. Okay. So you guys could totally just pause the video if you wanted to see a freeze frame of that for longer, but I tried recording this video earlier and it took I would talk for like 45 minutes. I'm trying to keep this one within 20 minutes. All right, so I would recommend the microphone parts again if you have the patience, if you can solder, if you're on a budget. If you want a good quality sound for a lower cost, again, just with a little bit of legwork, microphone parts, that's the move. I personally had a bad experience, but it's really my fault with sibilance. My voice is sibilant, and so this capsule wasn't good for me. I'm considering to fix that, just buying their RK47 capsule. I think it's 47. I'm gonna buy the RK47 capsule for probably $150, and just throw it on the build that I made, and it'll probably fix up that problem for me. All right, let's get into the TLM 103. You gotta be kidding me. I don't know if you could hear that, but my neighbor's kid appears to be playing the Baby Shark theme song. Sounds like on a clarinet, maybe. It's cute. So the TLM 103 is heavier than both the microphones that I pulled out. It feels much more durable. It doesn't mean you could throw this thing around, but this feels heavy. This feels like it's made of quality materials. I know that it's a good investment. I know that I could resell this thing. I know that it sounds great. And I'm going to say it one more time. I know I could get a good result out of this, and if you can't, you need to figure out what you're doing wrong. The TLM 103, in my opinion, is just such a good investment for the home studio. It gives you that U87 sound that a lot of people are after for a home studio price. I think my biggest frustration with this argument and trying to tell people that they should lean into the TLM 103 is that people are afraid of that top end issue. And yeah, I just want to say, the TLM 103, the sales numbers speak for themselves. The company speaks for itself. This microphone is one of those microphones that if you are serious about your career and you want to have, a good microphone one time, like you purchase one microphone and your search is over, you don't have to battle with buying and selling, just get a good mic. Just get the TLM 103 and be happy. Do your pop songs, do your hip hop, do your R&B. Go with the correct mic the first time. Stop chasing models that sound similar or trying to find a way to get there without, taking on a little bit of an investment, because what you'll end up doing, and I've done this myself through my career, is, you'll end up buying a bunch of stuff and selling it, and then what, right? You've wasted all the money that you invested in selling. A better way to say that is, if I'm losing $200, $150, $300 per sale because I bought it and I sold it used, so it loses value, right? If you do that over and over and over, it'll only take you like a good couple microphones that you didn't like to have bought a TLM 103. So just don't fight it. Just invest in something good the first time. It doesn't have to be a TLM 103, but just consider if you're serious about the industry, just buying a nice microphone one time and just keeping it for the rest of your life. It's worth it, trust me. All right, and we'll do the U87 last. All right, if you couldn't tell by me taking it out of the plastic, when you have a microphone of this caliber, you want to take care of it. This thing was $4,000. I think it's $3,750, as I mentioned earlier. This is the U87. This thing's a total fucking beast. If you are serious about your career, you don't need to buy U87. Studios will have them. But if you are serious about your career, if you are going to open your own recording studio, if you are making money off of the recordings you're doing, start looking at the TLM 103, start looking at the U87. If it's in budget, you can skip over the 103 and just go straight to the 87. But this is not something I recommend people to buy in their home studio unless they are so serious. Like this isn't step 1. This is like step 20. You know what I mean? This is someone that's been in the recording industry for 5 or 10 years, and they just know that they're ready to invest in something great. Or this is someone who is building a recording studio and wants their clientele to know, like, hey, I have the mics you're looking for, right? U87. This is the kind of microphone you buy when you want to do less work on the back end, right? The U87 is going to be less work on the back end. You know, there's so many things I could say about this. There's really nothing I could complain about. I want to make sure you know, because I know a lot of the people on YouTube specifically are going to be more home studio and less you know, you're not Capitol Records. If you were Capitol Records, you would look at me like a dog. So if you're making a home studio, if you're making a small recording studio, if you're making something that you intend to make money off of, that's when I would say, okay, let's start looking at the U87. You've got clients that you need to take care of, and this is something that I would suggest. And I want to full circle this conversation before I rant too long. You don't need a U87. You don't need a TLM 103. You don't need Neumann, okay? I love Neumann. I work for Neumann. But Neumann isn't the end-all be-all. There are so many great microphones out there of the same price range. I'm just trying to drive home that, you know, if you are serious about your career, invest in yourself. Invest in your studio. Do not cheap out, okay? It doesn't have to be a U87. It could be something from AKG. It could be something from Telefunken, okay? But don't underestimate how your investments can change the trajectory of your career. Okay, that's all closed up. And let's sum this video up. I tried so hard to keep it short, but we're almost at like 20-30 minutes here. Do you need an expensive microphone? No. But it depends. And I'll give you a brief, no bullshit answer, because you know me, I like the non-bullshit. Depending on where you are in your career, you may or may not need an expensive microphone. Are you in high school? Are you in college? Are you just getting started? Are you learning? Are you on a really tight budget? This is when I would look at something that's $100, like the Behringer B-1, and I would tell you no, you do not need an expensive microphone. I would tell you that you should be worried about the music more than the microphone. I would be telling you that you should be doing everything you can to work towards your dream. I would say that your passion is more important than your microphone. You know, don't let finances and investments stop you from doing what you love. If you want to sing and you want to record it and you have a band and you're so excited to get stuff out there, do not hold yourself back. Do not say to yourself, oh, well, Chris told me earlier that if I'm serious that I should buy this mic, and because I don't have this mic, I can't put out a record, right? That's not what I'm trying to do to you guys. I want you to know that you can use any microphone in any budget range and you can make music, and don't let anybody tell you different. Don't let anybody hold you back. Just know that the quality is going to be worse. The amount of work on the back end that you have to do is going to be more. And that's okay. You know, these are all just fundamental steps that we all take in our journey in learning how to be artists and engineers. So now let's go to the it depends part. Do you need an expensive microphone? It depends, and I would say yes. If you are at the point in your career where you need to advance your career. Are you in your bedroom studio and now you're going to dedicate to a room in your house? And maybe now you're going to start inviting people over to record. Maybe you're going to be inviting people that are going to be paying you, right? This is when you start looking at the price tags and you say, okay, I can invest in a microphone because I'm investing in other people. I'm investing in the artist, okay? The TLM 103 for the home, again, I can't say it enough, it's just like the microphone. I wouldn't really suggest or come outside of that just because the price bracket is so good and the quality is so good. Obviously, there's other mics that Neumann makes, like the TLM 49, that are fantastic, but I just think that the $1,200 price range is just a wonderful, perfect middle-of-the-road place to be, and the quality is amazing. So yeah, if you're making those upgrades, you're starting to get more serious about your career, get something that's nicer. Get something like a TLM 103. And lastly, if you're in a large studio, I think large studios know this, they don't need to hear this. If you're in a large studio, or you're maybe in a home studio that has started bringing in some pretty heavy hitter clients, or maybe you're working with people that you feel deserve to have that higher end quality. Maybe you just have the money and you want to do less work on the back end of the recording process, right? That's when I start leaning towards get a U87, or just get something in the higher price range, right? I want to make sure that my bias is not completely towards Neumann here. But yeah, you could go with Telefunken, you could go with AKG, you know, you can go with anyone you want. Invest in microphones as your career progresses. And another good way to look at it is, can you justify the price that you're paying? Okay, like if you don't make a whole lot of money, maybe you can't justify the price of the U87. Maybe you make a little bit of money, so you can justify the TLM 103. You know, it really just comes down to how much money you're making, how serious you are about it, the longevity of the product, how long do you want it to last, the quality of the product, and obviously the investment behind it. Can you resell it? These are all things you should be considering. And I left it out by accident, but the microphone parts, should you invest in a microphone parts, a soldering kit? I think that it's a great, fun investment, and it makes you feel intimate with your microphone. It makes you feel like you want to use it more because you built it. I can't speak to the whole catalog. I could only speak to the C414 that I built, but it's great. It was $420 or something. I wasn't a fan of the sibilance with my voice, but I'm just a sibilant guy. So it could be my voice. Maybe it's not the right mic for me. The parts are very quality. The body is not quality. The head baskets and the designs of the mic, I'm gonna be so frank, I'm sorry, they're ugly. But beggars can't be choosers. You're spending $400 and you're getting something that sounds like it's $800, $900. Anyways, I want to wrap this video up. My body's telling me that it's time to get up. But if you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'd love to have this discussion continue. Again, I tried my best not to be biased towards Neumann. I want you to know that there are so many microphone companies out there, so many great companies that you could be working with. And what's really important, and the message I want everyone to have by the end of this video, is that you can start making music today, even if you don't have a big budget. And maybe you know now if you should start investing in higher end microphones, right? It really just depends on where you are in your career, how serious you are, and if you want to make that leap forward. Anyways, this has been fun. I enjoy chatting with you guys always. Let's do it again next time.